The moment the Alpha King stepped into the ballroom, 50 princesses froze, because his wolf lunged toward the shadows instead of them. A maid, trembling behind a curtain, didn't know her glowing moon scar had just exposed her as the mate every royal girl would kill to replace. And when the blood moon flared red, every single one of them turned on her at once. Before we dive deeper, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I genuinely want to see how far this story travels. And while you're typing, hit subscribe. Don't be the one who enjoys the story but slips away without supporting it. Now, let's begin. Moonfell Palace glittered beneath the gathering dusk like a crown of ancient power. Wolf banners hung from every tower, their silver embroidery catching the last rays of sunlight. Inside the grand ballroom, crystal chandeliers blazed with 1,000 candles, casting dancing shadows across marble floors polished to a mirror shine. Tonight marked the centennial Blood Moon Ball, a tradition as old as the kingdom itself. 50 princesses had arrived from territories spanning the known werewolf lands. They swept through the palace doors in waves of silk and ambition, their gowns a riot of emerald, sapphire, crimson, and gold. Each wore her house colors like armor. Each smiled with practiced grace, while their eyes gleamed with calculation. They had not traveled across mountains and seas for romance. They came to claim a throne. The double doors at the far end of the hall crashed open. Conversation died instantly. Alpha King Sphera Darkwolf entered with the kind of presence that demanded submission without a single word spoken. He stood tall and broad-shouldered, his dark hair falling just past his collar, his jaw sharp enough to cut glass. A fur-lined cloak of deepest crimson draped across his shoulders, fastened with a silver wolf's head clasp. His dark eyes swept the room with the predatory focus of a man who had never known defeat. The princesses straightened, their wolves stirring beneath perfumed skin. Some curtsied deeply. Others stepped forward with bold smiles. All of them wanted him. Behind a velvet curtain near the eastern alcove, Lysandra pressed herself against a cold stone wall and prayed no one would notice her. Her gray maid's dress hung simply on her thin frame, the fabric worn soft from years of washing. A white cloth cap covered most of her dark hair. Her hands clutched a scrub brush still damp with wine she had been cleaning from the floor. She should not be here. Not this close to the main hall. But the head housekeeper had sent her to clean up a spill before the dancing began, and now she was trapped. If she moved, someone might see her. If she stayed, she risked being discovered anyway. Then the burning started. Lysandra gasped softly, pressing her left forearm against her ribs. Beneath the cloth wraps she always wore, the strange scar she had carried since birth flared with sudden heat. It felt like moonlight searing beneath her skin. The pain made her dizzy. She bit her lip hard enough to taste copper. Across the ballroom, Sphera's gaze shifted. His head turned slightly, dark eyes scanning the edges of the crowd as though searching for something he could not name. His wolf stirred restlessly inside him, pulling his attention toward the shadows near the eastern alcove. "Your Majesty," Princess Alara of the Gold Crest Pack purred, stepping into his line of sight with a practiced sway of jeweled skirts. "Surely you will honor me with the first dance?" Several other princesses murmured protests, pressing closer. Sphera's jaw tightened. He forced his attention back to the noble women surrounding him, though his wolf snarled in frustration. Something was wrong. Something was here. Behind the curtain, Lysandra finally dared to move. She slipped toward the servant's door, keeping her wrapped arm hidden against her side. A passing courtier sneered at her. "Clumsy girl," a princess in yellow silk complained loudly. "Low-born hands will ruin everything. Why are they even allowed near us tonight?" Lysandra ducked her head and hurried faster. She did not see Sphera's eyes follow her retreating form, lingering far longer than they should. Outside the towering windows, the moon began its slow climb into the night sky. Its edges glowed faintly crimson, like a wound bleeding light across the stars. The orchestra struck its opening notes, a sweeping melody that filled the ballroom like honey poured over steel. Princesses glided across the polished floor in carefully choreographed movements, their wolves prowling just beneath elegant smiles. Each dance was a negotiation, each touch of hands a declaration of intent. Princess Alara of Goldcrest laughed too loudly at something Sfera said, her fingers lingering on his arm. Across the room, Princess Mirren of the Shadowfen pack whispered urgently to her sister, their eyes tracking every woman who came near the king. Alliances formed and shattered in the space between violin strokes. But it was Princess Vaila of the Ironclaw pack who commanded attention without moving at all. She stood near the eastern windows, a vision in midnight blue silk that clung to her like shadow given form. Her silver hair cascaded over one shoulder in an elaborate braid woven with sapphire stones. Unlike the others who fluttered and preened, Vaila watched Sfera with the stillness of a wolf studying prey. Her lips curved in a smile that never reached her cold gray eyes. "Desperate creatures," she murmured to her lady-in-waiting. "They think a pretty face will win a king. Fools." Her gaze tracked Sfera across the ballroom, calculating and patient. Sfera accepted Princess Alara's hand for the required dance, leading her through the steps with mechanical precision. His wolf paced restlessly beneath his skin, snarling at phantom threats. Something felt wrong. The air tasted strange, like copper and ash beneath the perfume and candle wax. He could not shake the feeling that he was missing something vital. When his fingers touched Alara's palm, his wolf recoiled violently. "Wrong, wrong, wrong." Beyond the ballroom, in the shadows of the servants' corridor, Lysandra pressed herself against the rough stone wall. Her moon scar burned like fire beneath the cloth wraps, the pain so intense she had to bite down on her knuckles to keep from crying out. Footsteps echoed nearby. The prophecy must never come to pass, a man's voice hissed urgently. Lysandra recognized it as Lord Hadrian, head of the royal council. "We were fools to keep her this close. Where else could we hide her?" Another voice answered. "At least here. We can watch. Ensure she never crosses his path. If the king's wolf recognizes what she is, it will not. The suppression wards will hold. They must." The voices faded down the corridor, leaving Lysandra trembling. They were talking about her. They had always been talking about her. The strange looks from the head housekeeper, the way she was forbidden from ever serving the king directly, the hushed conversations that stopped whenever she entered a room. What did they think she was? Her scar pulsed again, a white-hot lance of pain that dropped her to her knees. Through the servants' entrance, she glimpsed Sfera on the dance floor, his hand clasping Princess Alara's. The moment their skin touched, Lysandra's world exploded into agony. Inside the ballroom, a faint crimson haze began to drift through the air, so subtle that none of the dancers noticed. It moved like smoke through the crowd, wrapping around the princesses in threads of corrupted magic. One by one, their wolves began to stir with unnatural hunger. The blood magic had begun its work, and the moon outside slowly bled to crimson. The transformation happened in a heartbeat. One moment, the ballroom glowed with candlelight and conversation. The next, every window exploded with crimson brilliance as the moon flared blood red, so bright it cast harsh shadows across the marble floor. The orchestra stumbled to a discordant halt. Princess Mirren screamed. She dropped to her knees, her body convulsing as her wolf surged forward without permission. Bones cracked and reformed. Her elegant gown tore as silver fur rippled across her skin. Her eyes blazed gold with feral hunger. "No!" Princess Alara gasped, clutching at her throat as her own wolf clawed its way to the surface. I can't hold." Another princess shifted. Then 3 more. Then a dozen. Within moments, the ballroom descended into chaos. If you're still watching at this point, wow, you're officially one of the real ones. Don't just sit there, subscribe. I'm giving you royalty-level drama for free. Let's continue. Nobles scrambled backward, shouting in terror as 50 royal daughters lost control simultaneously. Wolves snarled and snapped at the air, their minds clouded by the crimson haze that now filled the room like poisonous fog. The corrupted blood magic wrapped around them like chains, driving them into a frenzy they could not fight. "Protect the king," a guard shouted, drawing his sword. But Sfera was not listening. His wolf had risen with a violence that took even him by surprise. Power flooded his veins, ancient and overwhelming, drowning out rational thought. Every instinct screamed at him to shift, to claim, to hunt. His eyes flared golden as his wolf seized control. The beast did not see the princesses surrounding him, did not smell their expensive perfumes, or admire their noble blood. His wolf knew only one truth burning through the blood magic haze like a beacon of pure moonlight. She was here. His mate was here. Sfera's head snapped toward the servants' corridor, his enhanced senses cutting through the chaos. Past the screaming nobles. Past the frenzied wolves. Past the crimson smoke that choked the air. There. A heartbeat. A scent like winter rain and wild herbs. A pulse so strong it felt like silver chains wrapped around a soul. His wolf lunged forward, shoving past Princess Viola so hard she stumbled. The beast did not care about propriety or politics. It cared only about the desperate, overwhelming need to reach her. Guards tried to intercept him. Sfera's growl sent them reeling backward, the sheer dominance of his alpha power forcing submission. He moved through the ballroom like a force of nature, his partial shift making his movements inhuman. Claws extended, fangs lengthened. His eyes blazed with golden fire as his wolf hunted for the one soul it recognized. In the shadows of the servants' corridor, Lysandra felt him coming. Her moonscar erupted with blinding white light beneath the cloth wraps, so bright it illuminated the dark passage around her. The pain vanished, replaced by something far more terrifying, a bone-deep recognition that made her wolf less heart race. She stumbled backward, her wrapped arm blazing like a torch. The ballroom doors exploded outward. Sfera stood in the doorway, his massive frame silhouetted against the crimson chaos behind him. His chest heaved with ragged breaths. His eyes locked onto her with the focused intensity of a predator who had finally found his prey. But this was not the look of a hunter. This was the desperate, protective focus of a wolf who had found his mate. "You," Sfera growled, his voice rough and inhuman. Behind him, 50 frenzied princesses caught the direction of his gaze. As one, they turned toward Lysandra, and their eyes filled with murderous rage. Sfera's body twisted as the shift overtook him completely. His bones cracked and reformed, but the transformation stopped halfway, leaving him suspended between man and beast in a form that made nobles gasp and guards step back in fear. He towered over 8 feet tall, his frame massive with corded muscle covered in dark fur. His face elongated into a wolf's muzzle lined with fangs that gleamed like daggers. Razor-sharp claws extended from hands that could crush stone. His eyes blazed pure molten gold, reflecting the crimson moonlight streaming through the shattered windows. This was the true form of an alpha king. Terrifying, unstoppable, primal. Behind him, the frenzied princesses tore at each other in their desperation. Princess Alara lunged at Princess Mirren, both wolves snapping and clawing as they fought to reach Sfera first. Another princess slammed into the marble columns, her consciousness drowned beneath corrupted magic and instinct. They sensed the mate bond awakening. They felt the ancient power stirring. Each one fought with savage determination to force the connection, to claim what they believed was rightfully theirs. But Sfera's wolf saw none of them. His massive head turned away from the 50 royal daughters, from the noble blood and political power they represented. His enhanced senses filtered through perfume and silk until he found what his soul recognized. Wild herbs, winter rain, moonlight. "Lysandra," he growled, her name rumbling from his chest like thunder. The sound cut through the chaos like a blade. The frenzied wolves froze. Slowly, impossibly, they turned to follow their king's gaze. Lysandra stood pressed against the corridor wall, still clutching the scrub brush she had dropped. Her gray maid's dress hung plain and worn. Her cloth cap had fallen askew, revealing dark hair that tumbled past her shoulders. She looked small and fragile compared to the supernatural violence erupting around her. But her left arm blazed with light. The cloth wraps had burned away completely, revealing the moon scar that marked her from wrist to elbow. It glowed with pure white radiance, a crescent moon surrounded by ancient symbols that pulsed with power older than the kingdom itself. The Linares bond. No. Princess Viola snarled, her wolf form trembling with rage.
She's nothing.
A maid. A wolf-less nobody. Sphera's roar shook the palace foundations. Understanding rippled through the pack of frenzied princesses like poison through water. The Alpha King's wolf had chosen.
Not one of them.
Not the noble daughters with royal blood and political alliances. A maid. The insult of it broke something primal inside them. As one, they lunged toward Lysandra with murder in their eyes. Lysandra's moon scar erupted. Light exploded outward in a blinding wave of pure lunar magic. The attacking wolves slammed into an invisible barrier and were hurled backward, their bodies crashing into walls and columns. The white radiance filled the corridor, forcing the frenzied pack away from her like a shield woven from moonlight itself. Before the light faded, Sphera moved. His massive half-shifted form positioned itself between Lysandra and the princesses. He spread his clawed hands wide, his fur bristling with dominance. A growl built in his chest so deep and threatening that even through their blood magic haze, the wolves cowered. "Touch her," Sphera snarled, his voice barely human, "and I will tear you apart. If your heart is pounding right now, that's your sign, subscribe. Don't be the only one who leaves right when the story gets insane." His golden eyes swept across the 50 princesses, now trembling and confused as the corrupted magic warred with their natural instinct to submit to their alpha. Behind him, Lysandra's legs finally gave out. She collapsed against the wall, her glowing scar beginning to dim, her mind reeling from impossible truths. The Alpha King's wolf had chosen her, and the entire kingdom would burn for it. Lysandra gasped as the moon scar erupted with new intensity. The glowing crescent no longer confined itself to her forearm. It spread like living light, crawling across her skin in intricate patterns of ancient symbols. Silver lines traced up her arm, across her shoulder, blooming across her collarbone like frost spreading on glass. The pain vanished, replaced by power that sang through her veins like moonlight made tangible. She looked up at Sphera's massive half-shifted form, expecting the golden fury still burning in his eyes. Instead, she found something that stopped her heart. His wolf knelt. The massive beast lowered himself before her, his muzzle inches from the ground in a gesture of complete submission. The dominance that had terrified 50 princesses melted away, replaced by protective reverence. A soft whine escaped his throat as he pressed his forehead gently against her trembling hand. The frenzied princesses stared in shocked silence. An Alpha King did not kneel. Not for anyone. Stop this madness. Lord Hadrian burst through the ballroom doors, the entire royal council rushing behind him in a wave of rich robes and fury. Guards flooded in after them, their weapons drawn. The elderly councilman's face had gone pale as death, his eyes locked on the glowing symbols spreading across Lysandra's skin. "It's happened," he whispered, horror thick in his voice. "The prophecy." "What prophecy?" Princess Viola demanded, her wolf form trembling with barely contained rage. Lord Hadrian's jaw clenched.
For a long moment he said nothing.
Then his shoulders sagged with the weight of secrets kept too long. "The true prophecy," he said, his voice carrying across the silent hall. The one we suppressed for 18 years. The king's true mate shall be a wolf-less girl marked by the moon. Her awakening will topple the ancient bloodlines and wake the power beneath Moonfell. She will bring either salvation or destruction, and the choice will be the king's alone. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Several princesses shifted back to human form, their faces twisted with disbelief. She has no wolf, another council member spat, pointing at Lysandra. She is nobody. A maid we kept close to suppress the bond. We never should have. You knew. Sphera's voice cut through the air like a blade. He had not shifted back, his massive form still positioned protectively over Lysandra. You knew she was my mate, and you hid her from me. We did what was necessary to protect the kingdom, Lord Hadrian shouted. The Linares bond has not manifested in 3 centuries. It is forbidden magic. Dangerous magic. If she awakens fully, the old powers will rise and everything we have built will crumble. He turned to the guards, his face hardening with grim resolve. Seize the girl. Take her to the dungeons before. Sphera's roar shook the chandeliers. He rose to his full height, claws extended, fangs bared in pure savage fury. The dominance radiating from him dropped every wolf in the room to their knees, including the council members. Touch her, Sphera growled, his golden eyes blazing, and you will all die screaming. Behind him, Lysandra's moonscar pulsed brighter, responding to his protection. The power beneath Moonfell stirred in its ancient sleep. Sphera carried Lysandra through hidden passages she never knew existed, his half-shifted form still protecting her from potential threats. Guards did not follow. They would not dare challenge their king's direct command, even if the council demanded it. He brought her to the inner chambers of the royal wing, rooms reserved only for the Alpha King himself. Heavy doors sealed behind them with the finality of a tomb closing. Sphera shifted back to human form, though his eyes still flickered with wolfish gold. Lysandra sank onto a velvet chair, her glowing moonscar finally beginning to dim. She stared at the intricate symbols still visible on her skin, her mind struggling to comprehend what she had become. I don't understand, she whispered. I'm no one. A maid. I have no wolf, no power, no. You are everything. Sphera knelt before her, his voice rough with emotion. My wolf is known since we were children. Lysandra's head snapped up. What? You were 8 years old. There was a storm. His dark eyes held hers with painful intensity. You fell in the courtyard, crying because you had scraped your knee. My wolf surged forward so violently it terrified my father. He had the memory sealed from both of us, hoping distance would break the bond before it formed. Tears blurred Lysandra's vision. They kept us apart on purpose. They were afraid of what you represented. Sphera's jaw clenched. The council told me your mother died in childbirth. That was a lie, wasn't it? Lysandra's hands trembled. She died when I was 3. Hunters came in the night, asking about a child with a moon mark. She hid me in the cellar and fought them. By morning, she was gone, and I was alone. They hunted you. Fury darkened Sphera's features. Even then, they feared the prophecy. A sudden chill swept through the room. Lysandra gasped as her vision blurred, replaced by images that felt torn from ancient memory. She saw massive wolves made of pure moonlight, their eyes blazing silver. She saw a kingdom built on power that flowed from the earth itself. She saw the first Alpha King kneeling before a woman whose entire body glowed with lunar symbols. The Linares bond in its original form. Sacred. Powerful. Terrifying. I see them, Lysandra breathed. The first wolves. The old magic. A knock shattered the vision. A guard's voice called through the door. Your Majesty. We found evidence in Princess Vaila's chambers. Blood magic artifacts. Ritual components. She orchestrated the curse that drove the princesses into frenzy. Sphera's eyes blazed golden. She wanted to force my hand. She discovered the prophecy. The guard continued grimly. Her notes say, if you had chosen anyone but your true mate, the Linares bond would have killed you. She meant to claim the throne after your death. Lysandra felt ice flood her veins. Viola had tried to murder Sfera by corrupting the very ceremony meant to unite them. Sfera stood, his presence filling the room with lethal promise. He cupped Lysandra's face gently, his thumb brushing away a tear. They will come for you, he said quietly. The council.
Rival Pax.
Everyone who fears what you represent. But I swear on my wolf soul, Lysandra, I will keep you alive, no matter what it costs. Outside, thunder rumbled as the crimson moon finally began to fade. But the danger had only just begun. The throne room doors crashed open before dawn. Princess Viola strode through with the remaining princesses flanking her like an army. Her midnight blue gown was torn and stained, her silver hair disheveled, but her gray eyes blazed with cold calculation. Behind her, 47 royal daughters stood united by rage and wounded pride. The maid has bewitched our king. Viola's voice rang through the hall with practiced fury. She used forbidden magic to enslave his wolf. The Linares bond is corruption, dark magic meant to destroy our kingdom. Gasps rippled through the assembled nobles who had gathered at the council's urgent summons. Fear spread like wildfire through the crowd. The old stories spoke of the Linares bond's power, and none of them ended well. She brings the prophecy of destruction, another princess shouted. The ancient bloodlines will fall. My daughter is right to be concerned. Lord Hadrian stepped forward, his face grave. The girl's awakening threatens everything. The power beneath Moonfell is not salvation. It is chaos waiting to be unleashed. Other council members nodded, their expressions hard. We must act before the moon sets, Lady Miriam, the eldest councilwoman, declared. Execute the girl. Break the bond. Save our king and our kingdom. The crowd murmured agreement, fear overriding reason. The inner chamber doors opened. Sfera emerged with Lysandra behind him, her moonscar still faintly glowing beneath hastily wrapped cloth. He had dressed in full royal armor, black plate etched with silver wolves. His hand rested on the pommel of his ancestral sword. He positioned himself directly between Lysandra and the throne room, his stance unmovable as mountain stone. You'll not touch her, Sfera said quietly, his voice carrying the absolute authority of an alpha king. Your Majesty, please, Lord Hadrian pleaded. Your wolf is compromised. You cannot think clearly. My wolf has never been clearer. Sfera's eyes flashed gold. You conspired to hide my mate. You suppressed a bond the moon itself created. You dare call her corruption when you have lied to your king for 18 years. Viola's lips curved into a poisonous smile. Then you leave us no choice. She raised her hand, and dark crimson light erupted from her palm. The blood magic she had woven into the ball surged back to life, but this time she held nothing back. The spell crashed into the assembled princesses like a tsunami of corrupted power. They screamed as the transformation seized them. But this was worse than before. Their bodies twisted into monstrous half-wolf forms, larger and more savage than any natural shift. Foam dripped from their fangs. Their eyes glowed with mindless hunger. The blood curse had turned them into rabid beasts with only one purpose burning through their shattered minds. Kill the maid. 47 corrupted wolves turned toward Lysandra with synchronized fury. Viola laughed, her voice echoing through the horrified throne room. If you will not give her up willingly, your Majesty, then I will take her corpse from your broken hands. The monsters lunged, and Lysandra's moonscar erupted with blinding light. The rabid wolves crashed into Sfera like a tidal wave of claws and fangs. He shifted instantly, his massive alpha form intercepting the first 3 attackers. His jaws closed around one wolf's throat while his claws tore through another. Blood sprayed across marble floors as he fought with savage precision, every movement designed to protect the woman behind him. But there were too many. A corrupted princess slipped past his defenses, her fangs aimed at Lysandra's throat. Another lunged from the side. A third leaped from the gallery above, her twisted form hurtling downward like a missile. Lysandra's moon scar exploded with power. Silver blue light erupted from her body in a blinding wave. It formed a dome around her, a shield of pure lunar magic that shimmered like moonlight on water. The attacking wolves slammed into the barrier and were hurled backward, their bodies crashing into walls hard enough to crack stone. The light grew brighter, filling the throne room with radiance that drove back shadows and fear alike. Viola screamed as the blood magic she had woven began to crack. Black veins of corruption spread through the air like shattered glass, hissing and smoking where Lysandra's light touched them. The dark spell fought back, pulsing with malevolent energy, trying to maintain its grip on the princesses. But the Linares bond was older, stronger.
Pure. No.
Viola thrust both hands forward, pouring everything she had into the curse. Crimson light blazed from her palms, dark runes crawling across her skin as she drew on forbidden power. I will not be denied by a wolf-less wretch. Lysandra stepped forward. The moon scar now covered half her body in intricate silver patterns that pulsed with each heartbeat. Her eyes had changed, no longer brown, but glowing with the same silver blue light that surrounded her. She looked like the ancient wolves from her visions, touched by power that predated kingdoms and crowns. She raised her hand toward Viola. Enough, Lysandra said, her voice resonating with otherworldly authority. Moonlight lanced from her palm like a spear of pure silver. It struck Viola's blood magic and detonated. The corrupted spell shattered completely, exploding into 1,000 fragments of dying crimson light. The dark runes on Viola's skin burned away, making her scream in agony as the backlash consumed her borrowed power. Still here? Still breathing? Then you owe this channel a subscribe. I mean, who else is feeding you stories like this? The cursed princesses collapsed as one, their monstrous forms melting away. They shifted back to human, gasping and sobbing as their rabid hunger finally released them. The throne room fell silent. 47 princesses lay scattered across the floor, trembling and whole. Viola knelt among the rubble, her silver hair disheveled, her face twisted with disbelief and fury. The nobles stood frozen, their mouths open in shock. Lysandra's shield slowly faded, the silver blue light retreating back into her moon scar. She swayed slightly, exhausted from the massive release of power. Sphera shifted back to human form and caught her before she fell. He held her against his chest, his arms protective and reverent. Lord Hadrian stared at them, his face pale as death. The Linares bond, he whispered. It chose her. The moon itself blessed her.
No one could deny it now.
The prophecy had come to pass. Sphera helped Lysandra to her feet, his hands steady despite the chaos surrounding them. She still wore the simple gray maid's dress, now torn and stained from the night's violence. Her dark hair fell in tangled waves around her shoulders. The moon scar glowed softly on her skin, a testament to power she was only beginning to understand. She looked nothing like a queen. And yet, when Sphera gazed at her, he saw everything his wolf had always known. Your Majesty, Lord Hadrian began weakly, the council must discuss? The council will be silent. Sphera's voice cut through the throne room like a blade. He had not released Lysandra's hand, his fingers intertwined with hers. You have spoken enough lies for one lifetime. He turned to face the assembled court. Nobles, princesses,
Guards,
council members. All of them watched with varying degrees of shock, fear, and curiosity. The weight of their judgment hung heavy in the air. Outside the tall windows, the crimson moon began to shift. The blood-red hue faded like smoke dispersing in wind, replaced by brilliant silver light.
Pure. Clean. blessed.
The true blood moon, uncorrupted by dark magic. Its radiance poured through the windows, bathing the throne room in ethereal glow. The silver light seemed to wrap around Sfera and Lysandra, setting them apart from everything else, two souls recognized by forces older than kingdoms. Sfera stepped forward, still holding Lysandra's hand, and his voice rang clear and unwavering through the silent hall. I am Alpha King Sfera Darkwolf, descended from the first wolves who walked these lands. Tonight, you witness the Linares bond, a sacred connection forged not by politics or bloodlines, but by the moon itself. He lifted Lysandra's hand, displaying the glowing moon scar to everyone present. This woman was marked from birth, hidden from me, kept as a servant while destiny waited. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, but no one dared interrupt. The council feared her because she represents change. The princesses wanted her dead because she threatened their ambitions. Sfera's golden eyes swept across the room, daring anyone to contradict him. But the moon does not lie. My wolf does not lie. And I will not deny what every instinct in my body knows to be true. He turned to Lysandra, his expression softening with emotion that made her breath catch. I choose you, Lysandra, he said, his voice dropping to something intimate despite the audience. Not because prophecy demands it. Not because your power saved us tonight. I choose you because you are mine, as I am yours. The moon marked you as my mate, and I stand with you against prophecy, politics, and bloodlines. Against the entire world, if necessary. Tears streamed down Lysandra's face. Sfera brought her glowing hand to his lips and kissed the moon scar reverently. The moment his lips touched her skin, the Linares bond flared brilliant silver blue. Light exploded outward in a gentle wave that washed over everyone in the throne room, warm and undeniable. The bond sealed itself with magic older than Moonfell. Outside, the silver moon blazed brighter, as if the heavens themselves approved. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then Lord Hadrian, his face pale but resigned, slowly lowered himself to one knee. Lady Miriam followed. Then the guards. Then the nobles. One by one, the entire court knelt before their king and the maid he had chosen. Even the princesses, bruised and humbled, bowed their heads in acknowledgement. Sfera pulled Lysandra close, her simple dress stark against his royal armor, her glowing moon scar reflecting the silver light streaming through the windows. A wolfless girl and an alpha king. Destiny rewritten by a bond no one could break. A new era had begun. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Seriously, most people never make it this far. If you enjoyed this journey, please subscribe. It truly helps the channel grow, and I post more powerful stories like this every single day.